Hey guys, today's video we're going to do a little bit of simple tuning on a Viper VSPEC. So we have a bone stock VSPEC here, just the way it would come from the factory, and which the factory is Viper, if you didn't know that. But we're going to do some simple things. We're going to change front tire size and rear tire size and just go over kind of what that entails, how much does it cost, and what kind of a performance increase to see from that. One thing to keep in mind is that we are testing on a routed track, so your tire size may vary. There are a ton of different tires to choose from. There's a lot of compounds, all of that stuff. I would say my recommendation always, and it really depends on your track, but I usually would go from the stock, which is a 444 M1. It's a medium compound. 444 is a pretty big tire, but I would go from that probably down to like a 432, and you could try a 432 in a couple of different compounds. That will give you a very noticeable difference and also kind of tell you like, okay, am I too low now or where are we at? We'll go over some of that once we get back to the track. The front is, in my opinion, not as critical. These have a 350 Razor front tire on them, or Razor front end actually. And we're gonna be testing a 342. So you can buy the tires separately. For this video, I'm just gonna pop another axle in there just because it's easier. But that also, you know, you don't want the car to be stink bugged. You definitely never want that. It is okay to have the car what I call pre-runnered, where the front is higher. That's fine, especially on click-clack tracks. You almost always want to run the nose a little bit higher. So, but we'll head back to the track and do some testing, get the tires clean, make sure the track's clean, and we'll run them on the drag strip too, just to make sure that the tests work on both places. The car could get quicker with other tires, and that might be usable for those that are looking to make their stock car quicker. So let's go check it out. All right guys, we're about out at the track. Hasn't been run over the weekend, so I'm gonna just run a couple laps with a test car. This isn't the car from the video today, but it is a test car. And as you can see, there is dust on the track. Pretty impossible to not have that happen, but I like to just run one lap and check them. Looks like those are the fronts. They're on there, but should be good after this third time around. Okay, so track is good and clean. We have our VSPEC test mule here, so we will get some baseline numbers. Let's get this set to best lap.
Yellow flag.
We'll reset it.
Go.
But there's a couple of things to point out here.
Yellow flag.
And right now, I am going to practice just because I haven't run any laps this morning, but when we do the actual tire test, we're going to do probably a 1 minute heat, and I'll run for 1 minute and we'll take the fastest lap from that and what our average is. And if I crash, I'm going to try to do the I'm gonna try to make sure that, like, one, I'll probably pause it so that the time that it takes for that crash doesn't factor into our average, but we'll go over that when we get to that point. Right now, I mostly just want to make sure that I feel good with the track and just kind of get my controller set in the spot that I want to get it set at, so we can kind of do an accurate test. So we're gonna put this thing into timed mode, which on the race format for the TrackMate, there's all different types. There's practice, there's lap race, there's timed race. We're gonna do timed. We're just gonna do 1 minute, which 1 minute is plenty. That's a good amount of time for us to kind of get a good feel for what we're doing. We're gonna go ahead and start this thing. And if I crash, I'll hit pause. Here we go.
Yellow flag.
Okay, so I'm pausing it just so that I can leisurely come over here and grab it, and it pauses the timer. I'm gonna try not to crash, but that is part of racing.
Yellow flag.
I'm gonna have to clean the tires on that one. But whenever we test like race setups, like this is the system that I use. So we'll do the same when we put this setup on there. And then a lot of times I'll actually go back to what I started with. So this is what I call control. This is the control setup, which is the baseline. I'll always go back to that at the end to just make sure that I have comparable data and that I just haven't gotten better on driving the track that particular day. So fast lap right there. And we did 17 laps. So here's our data, guys. So we did 17 laps. 288 was our best lap, which happened to be our last, and our median was 3.08. So the median is really what you should care about, because if you're racing, the median lap time, the faster that it is, the more laps you're going to be able to do. So something else to note too is that this is where the lap is started and stopped. So we did 17 laps plus this distance here. So when we make this change, if we do 17 laps again, let's say technically this information could be very similar, but the car could be in a different place on the track, which, you know, if the car is right here, it just barely did 17 laps. If the car's right here, it almost did 18 laps. So, and in this instance, you'd be roughly 10 feet further. And remember, that's in 1 minute. So if you're racing 3 minutes, that would be 30 feet. You do that for 3 lanes, that's 90 feet. Now all of a sudden, it's over a lap difference, which can make a difference in the racing. So let's look real quick. We have more data on here, and we can look at our summary. Actually, we don't care about our summary. We want to view our laps. So here's our laps. We have all 17 laps. So first lap, because I started in front of myself. Second lap, 3.0, 2.9, 2.9. Then I crashed. 3.2, 3.0, 3.1, 3.0, 3.0, 3 or 7. Then I crashed. 3.1, 3.0, 3.2, 3.0, 2.9, 2.3, 2.8. Okay, so it's getting into a little bit of a rhythm right there. It is tricky to talk, concentrate, and race. So, I mean, might make that look a little bit easier than it actually is, but trying to, you know, give you guys good content, but also, you know, do a proper test. So something that we didn't do, which it's in stock form, so I mean, the thing is not hot at all, but when you're making tire changes, you absolutely want to make sure that you're keeping track of your temperatures. So running this for 1 minute, unless I feel the car slow down, which I know for a fact that this change isn't going to do that to this, but I'm just talking to you guys at home that are tinkering with this stuff for the first time, and you haven't hit those limits yet. You don't know what those limits are. If you run, let's say you make a change of tire, you go really small, you run 5 or 6 laps, and then you can feel the car just very much slow down. Don't keep running it to hit that minute mark. Just pull it off. It's obviously too low. Something else to look for is on your traction magnets. You want to look for any wear where the rail can touch that. This car, obviously, with that tire setup, it's not going to have that. But we're going to go ahead and do the same test again. You want to make sure that you put the tires on as correctly as possible. You don't want to have any wiggle in there. You can see that is very, very true. If it was not true, it would look like this. Okay, hopefully you can pick that up on the camera. You're gonna hear that also, so, but because I've done this a gazillion times, we're not gonna bother with doing a test lap. I know that the thing's gonna be good. We're gonna do the same test again, same controller settings, same everything.
Get ready.
I might not crash now because the car is going to be a lot better of a setup. But if we do crash, we'll do the same thing as last time. One thing you will notice when you go lower is the car will feel heavier. You might have to adjust your sensitivity. You might have to go more sensitive, and you also might have to go less brake because the car will naturally have more brake when the car gets lower. So it's just way more comfortable. I mean,
Yellow flag.
okay, remember we did crash there. That was where our first crash was. We got 9 seconds left. So see if we can do a burner. All right, so race is over. Testing gives you the tail of the test. 19 laps, okay? Median lap time, 2.92 instead of 3.06 or 08, whatever it was. So we're talking about more than a tenth and a half of median, and we ran 2 more laps, okay? So almost 2 more laps because the car's right here. So 2 more laps exactly would have been the car being right here. But that's in 1 minute, guys. Something else we can check too is our temperature. Okay, we're at 104, 105 on the comm. Our stack is right around 100 degrees. I always check the comm. Okay, and I try to get this light in there. I want it to tell me the hottest temperature possible. And I don't really care what this temperature is right here. Like, that's not where I would check your temp. You want to check your temp inside of there. I can see that this is shining in there. It's 107 degrees. Still plenty safe. We can look at the bottom of the car. There is no marks, so it's still not too low for our particular track. But something to look at on the data here is if we look at lap times, you're gonna see a lot more consistency, okay? 309, 293, 293, 291, 296, 292, 294, 299, 291, 289, 286, 285, 282, 278, 280, 272, crash, 284, 280. So totally way more consistent, okay? So we're talking about $3.50 for a set of rear tires, and we're talking about like $1.25 for a front tire. So under $5. Okay, we improved this car by 2 laps in 1 minute around this track. But I would say even like more than that, the comfort, well, it goes hand in hand. The comfort of the car that we did right there, that's where it's at, guys. So, You know, there's still more tuning you could go on this. You could drop this thing. I mean, there's a lot of tuning you could still do on these. You could throw more parts at it, but it obviously costs more money, and always the biggest bang for your buck is going to be finding that right size of tire. And the good thing about it is when you have your own track or you have a control space, you don't have to, like, it's not going to be changing, okay? There is one thing though that can change. If you're in a garage or if the track is in a covered area that's outside, or in a garage that's not climate controlled, temperature will affect everything. So if it's cool or if it's hot, that changes stuff. So keep that in mind. But we are going to go back real quick to our control, and we're just going to make sure that all of a sudden I don't run, you know, 2 7s with this thing or 2 8s with it, and we're back, you know, like back at square one. It's not going to be the case, but we're going to do this just in case. And like I said, whenever I am testing parts, combinations, or race setups, this is the same process that I do every time. And you never want to go beyond one full test, and I'll keep notes. And I mean, if it depends on how hardcore you want to get in this stuff, but if you really want to know what's making the car better or worse, or, you know, like that crash that I've been having right here. Okay, so that crash is happening right here where these black marks are. So these black marks that are on the inside, what that is this car is coming through here, and right here where the black mark starts, okay, the car is transitioning. It's turning to turn that way, starting at the front. What that does is that is unloading this tire, okay? And that tire is spinning on top of the track, okay? But then the car is turning the opposite direction, okay? Or it's not turning the opposite direction, but the car is turning this way, and it will set that back down. And when it sets that back down, that disruption is what kicks the car off the track. It's like a wheelie. Like if you held the, you know, tire on something up, throttle it up and drop it, the motorcycle or whatever, it's gonna do a little wheelie for you. That's what the car is doing right there. There is ways of fixing that, but you'll see in all transition zones, okay? All transition zones, there is marks like that. That's what's good about a white track, okay? It's not, oh crap, these things are, you know, these marks are on my track. Like, these are telling you something. This is a big one right here, okay? You can see it's different on each lane, okay? Like, that is literally a map telling you what the car is doing. It's not just like, oh, there's dirt on my track, I don't like how that looks. Like, you can learn from that stuff. So that's a little deeper than what the point of this video is, but I'm just trying to let you guys understand how my brain works and how we tune and develop stuff for these cars. So we're gonna do this same test one more time. I think we did a 306, we did 17 laps, and we ended right here. So we're gonna see what we can do with that same setup again. Controller settings, all that's all the same. So the car it's just definitely not as comfortable, and it does roll better because it's higher, so it is faster and more pipey. So I can tell I'm like a lot more on the edge with it. But I'm trying to squeeze what I can out of it. It's faster to put it on than it was to. Okay. So that time I squeezed it out. So we got 279, 293 median, which the crashing definitely helped that. And we did 19 laps and we're over here. So we're real close to where we were, which is pretty dang cool. So, and we too, just for the camera, we might as well check it. About the same exact temperature. I think I saw 108 there. But we'll swap it back. And just for the heck of it, we'll do one more with the low setting. I'm definitely feeling pretty good about my driving right now. So, but this is what's cool about testing though, is you can go back and forth, test stuff. I mean, we could test this front end with just the front end and not the rear end, or vice versa. And you might find some different results there. You know, and a lot of this too, like what you're weighing out, let's actually look at the lap times real quick on here. You're weighing out how much it costs to make that upgrade versus how much time did you pick up. So we got 3.0, 3.1, 3.0, 3.0, 3.0, 3.0, 3.0, 2.9, 2.9, 2.9, 2.8, 2.9, 2.8, 2.8, 2.7, 2.8, 2.8, 2.8, and our crash on our last lap kind of jacked us up. So without those crashes, we for sure, I mean, in 1 minute, if you're doing 20 laps, that's a 3-second average. So we're a little bit under that right now, but that's what's fun about testing. So it's a ton of fun. We're gonna go for it on this guy again. This is with the 432s. We'll see what we can squeeze out of it. Ooh, D-slot on exit. Oh, okay, so almost squeezed that one out of it. So that was 19 also, but we're probably like 20 feet ahead. We did have the little D-slot run right there, which when I was running it earlier on the second to last lap, I heard it come off the track, but it didn't come off far enough to D-slot like it did right there. So when it D-slotted right there, it just ran kind of right down the next to the lane there, which is kind of cool. We're gonna check temps real quick. So 112, still plenty happy, but let's look at the data here. Let's look at lap times, and I'm guessing that you're gonna see a lot more consistency. So second lap, 283, 293, 88, 86. Then we had our little D-slot, 295, 93, 92, 87, 7, 87, 9. Those are within 2/10,000s, 2,000s. 292, 290, 86, 83, 82, 88, 80, 88, 84. So just consistently faster. I would say like the comfort level was just way more comfortable. And it obviously is a really inexpensive option for these things. These are softs too, so you could try a 432 medium. You might get a little more speed out of it. An albino, a phantom, the firm 2. So there's lots of options there. You could do, I mean, there's just all kinds of stuff you could do. For this video, it's really just, what do I want to change? Let's head over to the drag strip, and We're gonna test the 432, 442 setup first on there. And before we end this video, we're just gonna see what these guys do and how it affects the car on the drag strip. So first pass, this will be with the option tire. So we'll go 32, 42, and we got 50, 44. Okay, so it looks like we ran a 645. Need a new Sharpie at 47. Okay, we always do 3 runs just because, and we'll run them back to back to back. I'm gonna grab those parts. Okay, 637 with the 1. Okay, and I'm gonna try to swap these tires and stuff all real quick so that the temperature, none of that stuff changes much, so that it's as accurate as possible. Okay, so 640. I don't know if you want to write that one down, Sam, while I swap this stuff. Okay, so this is back to the stock 350 front, 444 rear. On the drag strip, I mean, this might be faster just because it's a bigger, taller tire. But something to keep in mind too, when you lower the front end, you're changing the spring pressure as well. So it's like a 650 at 45, 82. But yeah, you're changing the spring pressure. So we have an 1/8 thou spring in this thing. If you lower the front by 1/8 thou, that's half of that is the coil size. So you're increasing your spring by half a coil basically. So it does change your spring tension. 649 at 45.82. Okay, and this will be the last pass. Okay, 51.4. At 45. Okay, so there's the numbers. 45, 37, 40. So quite a bit more of a split over here. And then on this side, we were within 2,000 basically. So that's pretty impressive. Mile per hour wise, 45.82, 45.82, 45.45, and 47.09, 47.35, 47.22. So definitely more mile an hour over here, which is probably because of the pickup shoe tension and the car being a little bit lower in the front. So this side, you know, that could be less shoe tension. It might just be a happier combo for the drag strip. I mean, if you're bracket racing, this is probably where you'd want to be. But there are more tests you could do here, and you could try the front with these rears, vice versa. And the cool thing about this hobby, guys, is you absolutely can do that. I don't want to bore you on this video today with that, but you at home, you could try, you know, these rears with these fronts, vice versa. Use this process that we've used here. So making 3 passes, you might want to get the car up to temperature. Just control is everything, and learning from that data. And so if you guys have questions about anything, feel free to throw it in the comments. We appreciate you, and we'll see you on the next one.